What's up, folks? This is Justin from Books, Bricks, and Boards, and this is a bonus video. Had a pretty good response to my Against the Darkmaster video, so decided I'd do a little bonus content for you guys. We are going to do a solo game through the ruins of Rotter Hall. I'm going to use the character that I built during the review video. This is his animal companion, Snarls. I did level him up twice, so he's 3rd level. And I did fix a couple of things that were pointed out to me by the author of the game in the comments section. And those changes caused me to change some of my choices on background point usage. So, long story short, there's a few differences, but basically the same character and just a little more developed. So I will share that character sheet with you now. So I had forgotten to add my 5-point brawn bonus to my skills before, and so that's added in now. And then also, I thought that I needed to use the equipped background to have a two-handed sword to start with. He told me that no, I could probably start with that. I'd have enough gold built up. So I repurposed that background point, and I also changed the mundane background, gave myself exceptional training blades and gifted brawn. So just kind of focused him in a little bit more. Some of the important stats: he's got a 105 for his blade skill now at 3rd level. That's pretty good. And he's got his ancestral heirloom two-handed sword, so that brings it up to a 115. Snarls has 180 hit points, gets a plus 80 to his bite and a plus 30 to his defense. He is considered to be wearing light armor, and if he has to use roguery skills, it's plus 25, and adventure skills plus 60. Now keep in mind, he's a trained bear, but he's still a bear. He will not be doing any math equations for me. So with that being the case, I also have a handy-dandy calculator. Now you might be thinking, come on, Justin, you're a banker and you need a calculator to add these simple numbers together. Yes, I do. I think that this game in particular is the only game that I've ever ended up using a calculator for. But if that's going to be a turnoff for you, maybe you're just a lot better at quick math than I am. But the calculator makes things go smoother for me. Don't have to focus on it as much, and make sure that I get the numbers right for you guys out there in YouTube land. Other things I'm going to be using: I will be using the Game Master's Apprentice Fantasy deck. I bought this a while back, and so we'll be using this to create context, but I won't be using its yes-no oracle, because for that I'm going to use the Tales of Argosa dice that they use for their oracle. So these are yeses, a no, this is a boon, this is a bane. I'm also going to use some of the lone wolf rules from Tales of Argosa. Basically, anytime something would strike Crognard, I roll this black die, and if I get a skull, I get a free counterattack at full value. If I get a sun, that means that I dodge the attack outright, no matter the die result. And if I get a blank, it just goes off as normal. You can get these dice here at Game Crafter, so that is an option. I am also going to be using my book of tables that I printed out, using the PDF of the GM screen for Against the Darkmaster, because printing is disabled on the PDFs for the books. My only thing that I don't like about Against the Darkmaster. Side note, I was talking to one of the authors this weekend via email, and they told me that there is a new game that they are going to be launching soon, and the playtest document for that is going to be up this summer, and it's called Against the Space Master. So it is a space opera version of Against the Darkmaster. So if you've dreamed of having some gritty space opera scenes without Disney getting in your way, that could be a great option for you. I know I'm going to be trying it out. I also wrote down a few stat blocks for creatures that I think I'm going to encounter, and that will help things roll along. I know you can't read it here, but I wrote down the order of the round, the combat round here, as well as some common penalties and my defense and combat values for my characters, as there's a lot to keep track of in this game. Now, if that's a turnoff, this could be a game that you want to make sure you watch the full play, see how things roll before you dive in yourself. I kind of like this crunchiness every once in a while. This is not the game I will play every time I play a solo, but I do like to have the option of playing a gritty, very tactical, very simulationist almost style of game occasionally, and this really scratches that itch. So to give you a little bit of background on what we are doing here today, we are going to be in the world of Micrin, so there may be some differences in the lore and stuff from Tracy Hickman and Margaret Weiss, but I'm going to use that as a baseline. And so Crognard is a Plains barbarian, not the same tribe as Goldmoon and Riverwind, but his tribe was destroyed, and we know that because when we were choosing his passions, he said, I will avenge my tribe, I will never hide again, and my allegiance is to myself. So, with that, I think that Crognard has been looking for any way he can to hamper the forces of darkness and the Darkmaster, whom he doesn't know it, but is actually, in reality, Takesis returned. And so he was in a quaint little inn in the city of Solace named the Inn of the Last Home, and he was looking for information. And therein was a seedy sort, an older gentleman with a cane, and he had suggested that there was an ancient tome in the ruins of Rotter Hall just to the south of Solace, a few days' ride. Well, Crognard doesn't ride his bear, so it took a little bit longer to get there. Crognard also found out after buying this information that another had already bought the same information and had left a day earlier. So he is tracking this other, and Crognard is an excellent hunter and has a long history with that. Plus he's got a bear that's got a good sense of smell. So he's been tracking this individual for a few days to the location, and he stayed just out of sight from the individual, and he has realized, much to his surprise, that this individual is not a human at all, because whenever they are alone, they occasionally take down their hood to reveal a reptilian visage. And you and I know that they are a draconian, but Crognard does not know that. He just knows they're a lizard man. And so one of the things that I immediately liked as I was reading through against the Darkmaster, there was a very clear-cut draconian template, just with serial numbers very gently filed off. And it even has the different powers for the different types of draconians. This is a Boz draconian, so if I kill him, he is going to turn to stone and potentially trap my weapon. So Crognard and Snarls wait for the draconian to enter the ruins of Rotter Hall, and they follow in behind him quietly and try to catch him by surprise. So that is where we are going to start, and we'll say this black D10 is my 10s and the white is the singles. So we're going to make a stealth check, and we got a 58 plus Crognard's stealth of 45. So got a 103. So got over 100. Now, I think technically they could get a perception check, but I think that they're pretty focused on what they're doing. So I'm going to go with a 103 being successful on stealthily approaching the Draconian that is going after the book. And so we are going to charge this Draconian, and let's give them a chance at a perception check to see if they're surprised. They got a 46, and they get a 25. No, they get a 60 to their perception. No, a 40 to their perception. So they got an 86. So our stealth roll was higher than their perception roll, so we do sneak up on them. As we are charging, the longest weapon will go first, and then the tiebreaker is the higher combat value. So the way that combat works in Against the Darkmaster, everything happens in phases. So there's no initiative roll. So first is assessment. That's where we determine if somebody is surprised or not. That's not always done, but it was in this case, and we created surprise. Then we have declaration. What are you going to do? Well, I'm going to charge. And since he is surprised, all he can do is use half of his combat value for parrying. Then there's the move phase, spell A, ranged A, which is their prepared spells and ranged attacks. Then you have melee, the longest goes first, and then by combat value. And then spell B, range B, those are unprepared. So, the Draconian has a 95 combat value, so we'll say a 47 for his bonus to parry. So we'll go 47 parry, plus he has a defense of 30, so he is going to have a 77 defense. And Crognard, because he's charging, he will get a modifier. And you will notice, if you hadn't seen my review, this book is fully tabbed up because at 560 pages, flipping to find the right section for everything would be a bear. So I am fully aware that that's going to be a negative for some folks, but for me, it's cool. So with a charge, it's a full action, allowing characters to move half their move rate and attack an opponent in a melee with a special plus 20 to their attack roll. They must move to reach their target before attacking. Engaged characters cannot declare a charge, and they cannot parry in the round that they're charging. Okay, so Crognard, charging, gets a plus 20 for charge. He gets plus 115 for his combat. He gets a minus 20 for multi-action because his heavy weapon requires him to prepare it. So he has to use a half action to prepare his attack. But then it's mighty, so it gets a plus 20. So that kind of just cancels each other out. So we have a plus 135 for his attack, and he's going first. So remember, black die is first here. So plus 135 for Crognard, and then minus 77 for the defense. So I'm going to add 58 to whatever I roll, and we'll see what happens. So I got a 67 plus 58. So I got a 116. So I'm going to compare the 116 to the edged weapon table, and they've got medium armor. So 13 damage to the Dragonborn, plus a light crit. So a light critical, I add 10 to my roll. So 72 becomes 82 on the critical table. And this is going to be a cut critical. So an 82, deep cut to the thigh. If the target's wearing leg armor, which they're fully armored, plus 3 damage. If not, plus 6 damage, bleed, stunned, and minus 20 to all actions. So that's the difference in wearing armor or not wearing armor. So we're adding just an extra 3 damage for the attack. So the Dragonborn has taken 16, but no additional effects at this time. Now, let's do the same for Snarls the Bear. Snarls has a plus 80 to his bite and a plus 20 for charging. So he's got a 100, and he doesn't take the multi-action because he doesn't have to prepare his attack, his heavy weapon, like Crognard did. So that's going to be a 23 that is going to be added to his roll. So we're going to roll for our attack. And actually, I guess technically they can only use their parry against one. Let's roll that back, because technically they can only parry against one enemy. So they parried against Crognard, who was the first. So he's just getting his defense. So actually, it's going to be not 23. It's going to be 70. So let's roll that. 70 for the bear. So 114. That's a little bit better. And it's a beast attack. So 114 against medium. So that's 11 more damage and a light crit. So we've got a beast critical strike. It's light, so I add 10 to the roll. 75. Light wound. Oh, actually add 10. 85. Hard blow to the upper limbs, plus 15 damage and 3 bleed due to flesh wounds and bruises. Minus 10 to all actions and stunned. So, we've got 42 damage and 3 bleed, minus 10 to actions, and stunned. Now for stunned, they cannot take full actions. They basically can just kind of defend themselves, and they're stuck there. Now, this game is known, or at least Rolemaster is known somewhat, for having a tendency to have stun locks. So because they're stunned, they keep getting hit, and because they keep getting hit, they keep getting stunned. That does happen sometimes. All attacks are going to be at a plus 20 for the next round because he's stunned. So we go to the next round. He can only take a partial action, and he can use half of his ability to parry, half of his combat ability. So that's plus 47. So he's going to have a 77 parry against Crognard. And so I'm going to have a similar result to what I had last time. So that's what he's doing. Crognard is going to use a partial action to prepare his weapon, raising it high above his head, his ancestral greatsword, and he will be attacking. And then Snarls is just going to try to tear this guy apart with his bite. Crognard is going to go first, and he gets his 115, minus 20 for the multi-action penalty to raise his sword, but then plus 20 because his target is stunned, so again, canceling each other out. So we're going to have 115 minus 77, which is 38, but then actually 58 because he's got a mighty weapon and he's not parrying. So 58, it's the same exact as it was before. So Crognard attacking, adding 58, 62, 120 is the result. On the edged attack table, medium armor, so that's 13 and a light crit. So with a light crit, I'm adding 10 to the roll. Let's see what I got. And I only got a 16, so it's a 26. I don't know that that does much of anything. Let's see. Plus 10 damage, a solid blow, it says. So he's now taken 65. Now, against the bear, he's not parrying, because you can only use your parry against one foe unless you got a shield. Shields are very valuable in this game. And so that's going to be a 70 that I'm going to add, plus 20 for the stunned. So 90 I'm going to add for the bear. And I got a double odd. Look at that. So I got a 100. So the bear gets a 100, which is an open-ended roll. So because it's a 96 or above, I roll again and add this to it. And an 88. So I got 188 plus 120. So I am off the charts high. And let me see, I think that the 175 is the max for a large beast. But let's check on that. So 140 is the max result that I can get. So as a large creature. So we're edged beast 140 and medium 18 damage and a moderate crit. So he's already taken 83 damage. And we're going to do a moderate crit. So we're adding 20 to our roll. A 69, so an 89 on the beast crit table. Hard blow to the upper limbs again. Plus 15 damage, 3 bleed due to flesh wounds and bruises, minus 10 to all actions and stun. But good news is that puts him over his limit. So as Snarls finishes him off, he turns to stone and just kind of stands there as a statue. And that is something that neither Snarls nor Crognard were expecting. And does that freak out the bear? I got a no, it doesn't, but I got a complication. That's what the black die with the skull means. So, what is my complication? Let's go ahead and pick a catalyst card. So we'll catalyst drunken brawl. Well, that doesn't make any sense here. Let's go to a verb. Improve. What would improve mean in a complication sense? Let's do a noun. And my noun is belief. Improve belief. Oh, okay. That kind of makes sense. So I think the complication is it improves the belief that the stories about the return of Takesis are probably true. I realize that the Dragon Queen is back and that this is one of her messengers, and that's not good news for Ansalon. So after kind of sorting my thoughts out and examining the Draconian, he shatters to dust after a few minutes. And that doesn't make me feel any better about this situation. So let's go ahead and explore. We're looking for this book. We don't know which way that we might find it. One way is as good as another. So 1 to 2 will go left. 3 to 4 will go straight, and 5 to 6 will go right. 6, we're going to go right. Okay, so we open the door to the room rather, and Crognard goes in first, and then Snarls. And let's do a sound. What do we hear? And we hear the creak of carriage wheels. Well, that wouldn't make sense in this case, but the creak of carriage wheels could be similar to the creak of the bookshelves that we see here, and just kind of the age and the aching of the wood as it swells with the water from this dungeon, and just the time that has ravaged it. And is there a threat in this room, an immediate threat? And so I got 2 no's, a yes, and a boon. So no, there's not an immediate threat, and the boon seems to be that we see that this grand door on the opposite end of this library room seems to be calling to us, like this is the right direction, this is where we need to be going. And I think that is where we're going to head. We're going to head towards this next room. Crognard looks at the shelves of the books. Most of them are worn and rotted. Nothing that would interest a barbarian, but the old man in the tavern had told him of the symbol to look for on the cover of the leather-bound tome that he's looking for. So we're going to cross the room, and we're going to go into the following room, and let's ask the Oracle. Do we find what we expect? No, we don't. But there is a boon. So, I think that we don't find what we expect, in that it's not a library, it's not another room full of books, but the boon is there's just the one book. And that one book sits upon the table across the room. And it seems to be ours for the taking, but for the skeleton warriors that are defending it. And let's roll to see how many we get. We'll do a random 2d4 to see how many are there. 4. So there's 4 of these skeletons we have to deal with. Okay. Guarding the room ominously. So, I am going to raise my sword high, and I'm going to say, "Back to Hades, vile beasts," and kind of wait for them to come to me. I am going to use my time to send Snarls in attack. So, declaration. The barbarian is going to wait for them to come to him. He tells Snarls to charge. These guys are going to go after the bear. These guys are going to come in to Crognard. Crognard using full parry. However, I am using the special Crognard rules for parrying with a two-handed weapon. I can only use half of my value. So I'm going to get a 57 for my parry. The bear charging gets a 100. The defense of the skeleton is a 20, so he's going to get a plus 80 to his roll. The bear's going to go before the skeletons. They've just got regular arming swords. So you got a 28 plus 80 is 108. And 108 on the beast table. And skeletons have no armor. So 17, takes 17 damage. And a moderate, so plus 20 to the roll. Crit. 84, so 104. Now they're going to be immune to a lot of the effects because they're undead. Flat strike to the head, target is knocked unconscious, plus 15 damage. So we're just going to say 32 damage, and they only have 25 hit points. So basically, Snarls grabs the thing's head and rips it off the body. And that is the end of that skeleton. Let's roll for the skeletons. They walked over and attacked. They've got a weapon skill of 30, but they did a multi-action penalty of 10. And they're taking off 57 for my parry. So they're getting a negative 47 to their roll. That's a negative value. And 94 minus 47. So they actually got a 47 result there. And they do 0 damage to me. Okay. The one attacking the bear got a 13 with the bear's natural defense. So the natural defense of the bear basically just eliminates the weapon bonus for the skeleton because they're both 30. So no hit there. So we go to the next round. And we will do Crognard first. He's going to use his weapon. So he has to use a half action to prepare it, full action to attack. He's going to have a 115 combat bonus. He's not going to parry. He is going to attack the skeleton on the right. And then the skeletons are going to attack him. The skeleton is going to attack the bear. The bear is not going to parry. So let's see what happens. Crognard goes first. He's got the longer weapon. He got a 96. So that is going to be another open-ended roll. So I add this to it. 79. So we're at 175 before we add in my 115. So way over the maximum. But the maximum value for my weapon is 175. So that's the result that I go with. So no armor, 50 damage and lethal. Now, they don't have 50 hit points, so they're just destroyed. So he shatters the skeleton with a mighty swing of his ancestral longsword. The bear will go next. He got a 57 plus 80 for his bite, 137, minus their defense. So 117. That's another destroyed skeleton. Just tearing these things apart as if they were nothing. And then the skeleton attacking back against Crognard. 78 minus 10 is 68 for Crognard's defense. Plus 30 for the weapon bonus. So he got a 98 on the edged attacks. And Crognard has light armor, so he takes a 10. And superficial critical. So I need to roll on the cut. Superficial critical. Got a 5. Weak strike doesn't cut through. No extra damage. Okay. Well, great. So I think the bear will declare that it's going to walk over and try to chomp on the skeleton. Crognard is going to do the same thing he did last time. The skeleton will mindlessly try to attack Crognard. And we'll start with Crognard. So I got a 30 plus 115 is 145 minus the defense, so 125, and we know that is going to be enough to destroy another skeleton. Crognard easily dispatching the skeletons. Now, you probably are looking at this and going, wow, that was really easy. Well, those were level 1 enemies, and Crognard has a really good blade skill and a nice sword. Plus the bear is pretty potent himself. Crognard kind of has the bear just heal. He goes over to grab the book, and when he grabs the book, is there any threat? No. Okay. No threat. And it's 3 no's, so emphatically no. But we got a complication. He grabs the book with no threat, but I think that there is an ominous sound. Let's see what sound we have. And there's a frantic pounding. And I think the frantic pounding are the feet of the 2 draconians that were behind me, trailing me as I was trailing their companion. And I see them just as they come to the threshold of the door. So I throw the book in my satchel and I prepare for another round of combat. Now, this is going to be much more interesting. The draconians are level 6 enemies. So if I were not using the lone wolf rules where I could 2/3 of the time I'm not going to get hit when the roll says I would get hit. I'm sorry, 1/3 of the time I'm not going to get hit, and another third I'm going to get a free attack back on them. So I have a 2/3 chance of getting some sort of an advantage when I'm being struck. If I wasn't using those rules as a level 3 character with a level 5 animal companion, I think I would have some serious problems here. But because I am using those rules, I think it should be okay. That said, in this system, anytime you're being attacked, there's a chance you're dying. So we need to see. I mean, there's really not much reason to try to negotiate with these folks because they're going to want the book. I think that's probably what they say in their raspy, lizardy voices. Give us the book, and we'll make your death easy. And I think Crognard would like to show them where they can stick the book and where he will stick his sword. So, the next step would be assessment. Nobody's surprised here. I heard them coming, and they announced themselves. Declaration. I think Crognard is going to charge. He's going to have the bear charge. I think the Draconians are a little sly, and they are going to try to do some parrying. They don't want to die. So they're going to use 45 of their weapon skill for parry. And they've got a defense of 30. So they've got a 75 parry in the first round. Now, Crognard, he's got a 115 weapon skill. Minus 20 for... Actually, no, he's charging, so he doesn't... He has a minus 20 because he has to prepare the weapon because it's a heavy weapon. That's right. But then plus 20 for mighty and plus 20 for charging. So he's at a 135. He's not parrying because he can't when he charges. The bear is going to charge, so it's going to be at a 100 after charge. So let's We'll put them back so we can fit them a little bit. All right. So, Crognard is going to be acting first. And he's got a 135. Minus 75, so he's going to add 60 to his roll. So I got a 5. Yikes! Crognard is going to use one of his drive points that he's accumulated on his adventures to re-roll his 5. So that would not be good, because he probably would have fumbled. So you can use drive points for that, for re-rolling. So we're going to go 38 plus his 60. So we got a 98. And a 98 against medium armor. He's going to do 9 points of damage. 9 times. So we're going to go Dragonborn. It's not Dragonborn. This isn't D&D. Draconian. 1 has 9 damage. And 2 hasn't been hit yet. The bear, on his attack, he got a 90. And he's adding 25 to his. So he got a 115. A little bit better. 11. And a light crit. So light, he's adding 10 to the crit roll. And he got a 29 on the beast crits. Solid blow. An extra 10 damage. The bear bears down on him. Sorry for the bad dad joke. And he puts his full weight against the prepared Draconian, who absorbs the blow, taking 21 points of damage of his 90 total. So there's that. But they also have an attack back. So they have 50 points to add to theirs. And Crognard has a 10 defense, so they're adding 40 to this roll. So you got a 17 plus 40 is 57. Crognard has light armor, 0 damage. So, since no damage, I'm not going to roll this because he wasn't really hit. So then the one on the bear has a little bit better defense than Crognard does. He has a 30, so we're adding 20 points to this roll. So 72 against the bear, who is considered to have light armor. So 3 points to Snarls. So Crognard has taken 10 from an earlier attack. The bear has now taken 3. So that is end of the first round of this combat. Now we do an assessment. There is no assessment this phase. We are aware of each other. We do declaration. Crognard is going to, of course, swing his mighty ancestral blade. There's no point in trying to disarm the Draconians at this point. We're just going to kill them. But if one wanted to, there are some different combat abilities in the game that you can choose from that will offer some more flavorful types of options. You can feint, you can disarm, you can knock down, you can lock, you can shield bash, all as standard maneuvers. But in this case, Crognard is just going to attack. He's going to attack with his full attack bonus again. So 115 minus 20 for the multi-action because he has to use a half action to prepare it because it's a great sword, plus 20 because it's mighty, so 115. I think the Draconians are going to parry again. And they're going to use 45 points of their skill to parry. So they've got a 75 parry. They are not looking forward to death. So 115 minus 75. So Crognard will be adding 40 to his roll. And I got an 04, which is an open-ended low roll. So could be extremely bad. It would definitely be in my clumsy range. But I have one drive point left. I am going to use that drive point to re-roll. Hopefully we don't do this again, because if we do, we don't have any drive points left to do this. So, got a 74 plus 40 is a 114 on the cut table. They've got medium armor, so 12 and light. So, light, we're going to add 10 to our crit roll. We got an 03, so we got a 13 for our crit. I'm not sure that that really adds anything at all. Minor calf wound, 1 bleed. So he's got a point of bleed. He apparently deflected most of Crognard's blow, but the sword bounced down and hit his calf, opening up a fresh wound. Now the bear, with his 80 minus 75, so the bear is going to get a plus 5. And he gets an 01. Again, a open-ended low roll. So I'm going to roll and subtract 15. So 1 minus 15 is minus 14. Plus 5. So we got a minus 9. So the bear has very clumsily missed. Let's see about the critical fumble table and see if it would really apply for an unarmed attack from a bear. Melee fumbles. A 17. Character must make an assessment roll during the next assessment phase. Okay, so basically the bear has overcommitted, and the deft draconian stepped out of the way, and the bear is confused. And he'll have to make an assessment roll on his next turn. So then the draconian fighting Crognard, he's got 50 minus 10, so he's going to add 40 to his roll. So he got a 72 against light armor. It's 3 points of damage to Crognard. He's taken 13 now. And then the one against the bear, I'm going to give him a backstrike bonus because the bear fumbled so badly. I think that he just kind of went right past him. So he's going to get a plus 30. So he's got 50 minus the bear's defense of 30 is 20, but then plus 30 for the backstrike. So back to 50. So we're going to add 50 to his roll. And he got a 96. This is an open-ended roll. Okay, so remember we're adding 50 to this, plus whatever we roll here. So 96 and 77 plus 50. So you would have a 223. However, a longsword has a maximum value of 150 that it can roll. And that's how damage is played out by weapons in this game, is it just caps off what the max result can be. So 150 against light armor is 30 damage and lethal to snarls. So he's at 33. Plus we're going to have to roll on the crit table as a lethal crit. And a lethal crit is going to add 50 to the roll. So whenever I roll here, plus 50. So 87 on the cut. Deep cut to the thigh. 3 damage. Now, because the bear is considered to have light armor across the board, it will not suffer the rest. If it was considered unarmored on the leg, it would be 6 extra damage, 3 bleed, stunned, and -20 to all its actions. So, got very lucky there. So, an extra 3 damage. I did realize whenever the Dragonborn hit me for the 3 damage, I did not roll my Lone Wolf die. But I got a blank, so it didn't do anything anyways. So that's the end of that action. I think I've acted with both of them. I hope so. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Okay. So we're going to go to the next phase. The bear has to make an assessment roll because of his fumble. So let's go to the assessment roll section. Needs to roll a perception check. So with the perception is going to be a roguery skill, and he gets a +25. So he got a 90. So he had a partial success, but it's not a full success. So all he can do is parry with half of his combat ability. So he can make his defense a 75. So Snarls is a 75 defense this turn, but he won't be attacking. And Crognard is going to do the same thing he's been doing. The Draconian is going to do the same thing it's been doing. This Draconian, however, is going to do a full attack, seeing the helpless position that the bear is in. So we will go with Crognard first. So 53 plus 115. Well, actually, plus 58 because of his defense and parry. So 53 plus 58. So we got a 111. And that'll be 12. And a light. Also, he took 1 point of bleed. So he's at 34 damage taken. Got a light critical, so I add 10 to my roll. So I got an 87 after my 10. So cut 87, deep cut to the thigh, plus 3 damage. So he's taken 37 damage now. Still has 1 bleed. The Draconian on the bear will do first because he's doing a full-on attack. 95, but Snarls has got a defense of 75. So he's getting plus 20 to his roll. 63. And light armor, that's going to be 0 damage. We got lucky there. So he attacks, but the bear is a little more wily than he had given it credit for, and even in its confused state, it's able to avoid his attack. Now this one, attacking with his 50, minus 10, 40 that we're adding to this. So 85. And light armor. So Crognard takes another 6 damage. He's now taken 19. And we will go back to the assessment. There's no assessment this round. Declaration. Attacking, no parry. Attacking, no parry. He's going to parry. He's going to parry. Same parry that we've been doing before. They're going to use 45 points for parry, giving them a 75 defense. So attack. And we're adding 58 to 43. So we got a 101 on the cut. Medium. So it is 10 superficial. He took 1 point of bleed at the beginning, so he's now taking 48. He is now considered bruised because he is over half his damage, so he's taking another negative 20 to any actions. And because I got a superficial, I'm adding 10 to my crit. So I got a 53 on the crit for a cut, plus 4 damage, a minor forearm cut, 1 bleed, and stunned. So now he's at 2 bleed, and he took another 4 points of damage. So he's at 52 taken, and he is now stunned. So all he can do is defend himself. He is definitely on his back foot. Then we'll have the bear attack. The bear going all in. 80 minus 75 parry, so getting plus 5 to his roll. 29, not going to be enough to do anything. So, kind of pillow fighting here. The Draconian here is going to swing back at Crognard, even though he is badly wounded now. He's taking a minus 20 on all of his actions. So he had 50 left, minus 10 for Crognard's defense, so 40, minus 20 for being bruised. So he's getting a plus 20 to his roll. So 65. 65 against light armor is 0. This one here, he's got 50 points of his attack left, minus 30 for the defense of the bear, so plus 20. And he gets an 07, so 27, not going to do anything. Beginning of declaration, takes 2 more points of bleed. And going to attack again, no parry from Crognard, no parry from the bear. He is going to go all in this time. He's not going to parry because he sees the writing on the wall. He's losing this battle. He needs to get lucky. This one is just defending. All he can do is parry with half of his ability. So it's going to be pretty dicey for the Draconians. So Crognard going first with no parry, just the natural defense of the Draconian of 30. So he's getting a plus 85 to his roll. So 75. So we almost got to the top end. So we're at 160 on medium, 24 damage and lethal. So 79. And a lethal adds 50 to the roll. So a 123 on the cut critical. Swing to the shoulder, deep cut. If the target has rigid armor, plus 10, stunned, 4 bleed, and minus 30 to all action. If not, arm almost severed, plus 15, stunned, and 10 bleed. So, I think that is going to be plus 15 and stunned. So, 94. He's dead. Okay. So he turns to stone, but now, since Crognard is the one that did it, his sword is stuck in the statue. Now, the one with the bear, he is going to attack the bear. Actually, the bear gets to go first. The bear's attacking him, rather. So he's got his 75 parry. So the bear's adding 5. So 33, I don't think that's going to do anything. It doesn't. Now he's going to get to attack back. 50 minus 30 defense for the bear. So we've got plus 20 to what he rolls. Ooh, and he got a 91. So that's pretty good. So 111 against the bear who has light armor. 13 damage and a light crit. And the bear still is not at half of his damage taken yet, but he's taken a considerable amount. Plus 10 to the crit roll. So he's 67. Slice through the side. If wearing armor, plus 5 damage, stunned. So the bear is stunned and takes another 5 damage. So, whoops, that's not right. That's him. So he's at 54 damage taken now. And he's stunned. So Snarls is stunned. We are going to go ahead and go to the next assessment phase. The one Draconian that was bleeding is dead now, so we don't have to worry about that. Declaration. Crognard is going to try to make an athletics check to pull his sword from the statue, which is a very hard athletics check, so it's minus 30 to the roll. Luckily, Crognard has a 75, so he's going to get a plus 45 to the roll. Let's go ahead and roll that. This guy is going to go all in on the bear. The bear is stunned, so he's going to do an all-in attack. He's not using any parry. So Crognard, 79 plus 45, yes. He pulls his sword out of the statue that once was the Draconian, the Baz Draconian, and as in doing so, he breaks part of the statue, I believe. And just kind of turns and stares menacingly over at the Draconian that is engaged with his pet at that point. Now, the Draconian is going to attack the bear, who is fully defensive. So he is going to have a 75 for his total defense with parry. And the Draconian has a 95 for his weapon skill. So adding 20 to his roll. So 77. It's going to be 5 points of damage to Snarls. So he's taken 59 now. Luckily, the bear has 180 hit points, so it's hurt, but it's not bruised yet. And then next round, Crognard is going to attack with his two-handed sword. No defense. The bear is no longer stunned. It's going to attack. No defense. And the Draconian is going to try to parry full. So it's got a 95. It's parrying Crognard. So Crognard gets a plus 20 to his roll. Not really flanking here. If I could get to the other side with the bear, I could have a flanking, but we're not doing that right now. So add 20 to my roll. So I got a 99 with Crognard. That is going to be a 9-point damage hit. And so that is 30 that he's taken. He's not taken much. The bear has been whiffing a lot. The bear is going to attack now that he has his buddy Crognard with him. So basically the bear is 80 minus the natural defense, because the parry only counts to 1. So 50, so he's adding 50 to his roll. And he has a 134, 15, and a moderate crit. So with moderate, that's adding 30 to the roll. So an 88. Hard blow to the upper limbs, 15 damage and 3 bleed. So that's 60. He is definitely past his bruised, so he's going to take negative 20 on all of his actions from now on. And he did full-on parry, begging for his life. And I think that Crognard is going to attempt to knock him down. We're going to do a knockdown. See if we can tie him up and take him back for questions. So that's going to be brawl skill against brawl skill. So Crognard is a 70 brawl, and the Draconian is going to, he doesn't have a brawl skill. He doesn't really get to use his weapon in this case. So we're going to go with a plus 60. So we're going to give a 10-point bonus to Crognard here. So we're going to roll an 06 for Crognard, trying to push him down, and an 09 for the Draconian. So the Draconian still actually failed, even though Crognard made a very poor effort at it. But the 10-point difference paid off. So Crognard knocks him to the ground and just kind of places snarls ready to rip out his throat if need be, and will tie up the Draconian, and they are going to take the Draconian back to Solace with them and try to find out what the evil machinations of the Dark Lord, the Darkmaster, is. And that is going to be the end of our session today. Hopefully that gives you an idea of how the game plays. Definitely a crunchy game, definitely a game that is going to slow down during combats. You need to know that going in. And definitely a game that's going to give you some opportunity for unexpected results. So until next time, this has been Justin from Books, Bricks, and Boards. Good gaming, and God bless.